Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I want to talk about Call of Duty Mobile because I'm actually kind of excited to play this game and I have really high hopes for it. This sounds absolutely crazy coming from a guy who's so dissatisfied with current Call of Duty's problems that he's not even playing it or posting it on this channel, and for a guy who generally dislikes mobile games and crummy microtransaction systems that come with them. So you would think that having two things that I hate very much smushed together would be awful, but actually, the opposite is true. I'm really optimistic about Call of Duty Mobile because I think something very interesting might be happening. Also, the gameplay you're seeing all around me here is J-Hub's gameplay on Black Ops 4. My version isn't even updated yet. I'm still not playing, and I wouldn't normally post COD over the microtransaction nonsense, but it's relevant for today, so don't overthink it. But for those of you that are not aware, Call of Duty is coming to mobile sometime soon. Corporate TM soon, I guess, is going to be the soon that we're looking for. This is the reveal trailer for the game. We do know it's going to be both for Android and iOS, and there's no confirmed release date yet, and we do know that it will be completely free to play, as most mobile games are these days. Very few mobile games are you paying for. However, this wouldn't be the first Call of Duty mobile game. Call of Duty came to mobile quite a few years ago, several times over. The first one was Call of Duty Strike Team, which came out in 2015, and it was marketed as kind of a mobile COD. It was marketed to look a lot like what we're supposed to be getting with COD Mobile, but in reality it was more of a top-down turn-based game where you controlled a squad and you gave each squad member actions and then had little sections that you would play through in first person. After that, the next biggest one was Call of Duty Heroes. It looked more like Command & Conquer Mobile than EA's Command & Conquer Mobile did because it was a real-time strategy game. However, that game was very big into buying supply drops. If I remember correctly, the way you win, or like the core mechanic in the game, is getting supply drops to resupply your base with different or better troops, and you could just buy a bunch more mid-match, whatever. So that wasn't very popular and it went downhill. And that brings us back to the big Call of Duty Mobile, the one that is teased and promised to be actual Call of Duty on your phone. Zombies, Blackout, multiplayer, the real deal, not just some sort of nonsense where you open supply drops for your troops. And we haven't seen much gameplay yet. This is the tease on the website. It's just a short loop of the gameplay, and there's some YouTubers, like Anonymous YouTube here, who posted alpha gameplay from this over 6 months ago, and I can't show too much of this without getting a strike. Shout out to him. I linked his channel down there in the description, but a lot of you guys are going to say, Drifter, come on, man, that looks rough. That looks like really rough gameplay. Why are you interested in this garbo? Well, I've got two big reasons that I'm interested in this game, and let's start with number one. Number one is that this could be a Call of Duty game where the microtransactions actually make sense. Currently, Call of Duty is way behind on its monetization practices. They're back there in the Stone Ages, and overall, because of this, it's become a very expensive game to play. You have to buy the game, then you get the season pass. No, buy the game, DLC pass, then there's battle passes, then like challenge things, and then there's direct buys, and then there's loot boxes, and it just spirals out of control. We don't even have to talk about pre-order or bonus editions or whatever, so it's really frustrating. However, I'm much more comfortable with games that have loot boxes and battle passes and skin sales if they're free-to-play games, because they have to monetize in more creative ways. And there's no barrier to entry on a free-to-play game. I can install a free-to-play game for free, and if I don't like the gameplay, that's it. I'm done. I don't have to spend $60 and then return it, and then I find out you can't return the season pass or whatever. Way too frustrating. So we do know that Call of Duty Mobile will almost certainly have microtransactions, mostly because it has to. It's a free-to-play game, so it has to monetize some other way. And in that kind of free-to-play environment, buying loot boxes in a Call of Duty game makes a lot more sense to me. This might be a product that I'm comfortable endorsing because it's monetized properly. I do want to point out, though, that it's not an Activision product. It's a Tencent game, so there's really no telling what they might do to change up the microtransaction system. They're going to Tencent, since they made the game, is ultimately going to have say over this. But the thing that I really don't want to see, the thing that'll immediately turn me off, is if I play a couple of games and it says, you're out of respawns. Buy more respawns for $5.99. Mobile games that require energy or turns or buy plays or buy lives are by far the worst for me, because then I feel like I'm being taxed literally for playing the game. That you built a game that you can play all day, but you added in an artificial wall of money to just prevent me from even continuing to play, which is quite frustrating. And I do think that buying new and different stuff is fine. Even buying new guns is fine, as long as you're not buying overpowered or just inherently better stuff. If you can buy a bunch of OP stuff and buy armor that gives you a bunch more health than a free player, that'll just kill off the game really fast because it won't be fun to play. Now, number 2 is perhaps the bigger reason for me, and that's that the player base might be a lot bigger than you think for this game. Call of Duty is overall a declining brand right now. I think most of us would agree that that's a fact. It's a very, very, very big brand, huge brand, colossal brand in the gaming industry, but it's still declining. However, this game has been that big for almost a decade now. Call of Duty has been big so long that people's first video games were almost always Call of Duty, or perhaps it's their first shooting game, and they'll play that and they move on to something else. Almost every single person that I talk to has fond memories of playing some Call of Duty game at some point in their past. A lot of them now are off on different games, or they're older gamers like me. I kind of didn't give up the dream, but there's a lot of older gamers that just don't have the time to invest in the new release, or they're struggling to establish themselves as young adults and they can't afford consoles at the moment. And some unfortunate souls that gave up on the dream and they have university or work and just don't have time for games anymore, which I hope is not something that I ever have to fall into in my life. I'm having a lot of fun with this YouTube thing. But I do realize, because this is true of a lot of my friends, like my IRL high school and college friends that used to play Call of Duty and Halo all the time, that they've all got real adult lives now and jobs and stuff in university, and they can't buy consoles and take off and play COD 4 hours a day. So it's entirely possible that people of this generation might actually find Call of Duty Mobile appealing because they've already got the gaming device, the game is free, they can get in and out at minimal cost. It's probably going to be more casual. Like, real talk, Call of Duty Mobile is not going to be hyper competitive, it's probably going to be a casual game. And a lot of these older gamers and casual gamers and first time COD gamers and people that have left for different games might come back. Call of Duty Mobile might have a huge player base of casuals and former fans, one that it could be shocking, in the millions, I suspect. Now, this would definitely be great for me on YouTube. I could make YouTube videos on it and make money, and that'd be fantastic. But it would also be good for not only Call of Duty Mobile to survive as a long-lived game, but also a good example for how to monetize Call of Duty Regular, and perhaps if Call of Duty Mobile is successful with a reasonable microtransaction system, Call of Duty Regular might make some changes as well, which is what I'm really hoping for. And finally, I do have some concerns about the game. Now, we already talked about the monetization quite a lot. It could be monetized very poorly. You could be buying better guns and more health and lives and armor, and it could be very expensive, and that wouldn't be fun. It should be a game that's actually fun to play if you're a free player. Number 2 are the controls. Mobile shooters tend to have rough controls. They also, as a gamer who plays inverted, they have no inverted look. I've never played a mobile game where I can invert the look stick, which is really, really rough for me. So for me, it's like doing it backwards, right? It'd be like if you guys had to play inverted. And Call of Duty has always been a very smooth game. Like, PUBG was never very particularly smooth, so playing PUBG Mobile wasn't that big of a downgrade. Fortnite was a little trickier, but all the shooters kind of are struggle bussy in a way, and they have very heavy auto aim. The controls need to match the flow of a Call of Duty game. I need to feel like I'm playing Call of Duty, not Call of Duty my legs are made out of gravy and I'm drunk. That would not be particularly fun. The graphics need to be a little bit better than that old alpha. I realize we're talking mobile games here that'll have wildly varying graphics, but the alpha gameplay we saw earlier in this video is rough. It is really rough, and I think the graphics need to do something better than that. And finally, at number 4, let's talk about long-term support. I don't think we're going to have to worry about this from Tencent. I think the long-term support is going to be there for the game, but it will need updates, it will need new content, it will need tournaments and stuff to do. We don't want to go Apex Legends on this one. We want to release the game and then actually release content for it and support it throughout its life cycle. Guys, that is all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe, and enjoy the short clip that I'm about to play to pad this video out to 10 minutes so I get that sweet, sweet YouTube money. Drifter out.
What the? What? What did I just witness? How many sword? Yo, what was his armor? Level 1 million?